Have you ever noticed that some of the most dangerous people in the world never raise their voices? They never knock on the door. They never threaten. They just observe, patiently, silently, calculating your every weakness as if they were leafing through a secret manual of your mind. And here's the truth that nobody dares to tell you. The manipulator doesn't come to steal what you have. He comes to steal who you are. He doesn't want your strength. He wants your doubts. He doesn't want your love. He wants your guilt. And before you realize it, it's not him who makes choices for you. It's you who starts asking permission to exist. Machiavelli said that men forget the death of their father faster than the loss of their inheritance. But he was wrong about only one thing. The inheritance that the manipulator steals first is not money. It's your psychological autonomy. The manipulator always arrives as an ally, never as a threat. He presents himself as someone who understands you, someone who supports you, someone who only wants to help. And that's exactly why he goes unnoticed. You don't perceive the poison when it comes disguised as a cure. Now listen carefully. If there's someone who looks at you as if they're analyzing you, someone who compliments you but always leaves you feeling a little insecure, someone who helps you but wants to know everything you feel, everything you fear, that person isn't your friend. They're a strategist, an emotional parasite, an architect of your mind. And if you don't learn to identify manipulators before it's too late, you'll become exactly what they want. A pawn, a resource, an instrument shaped by someone else's plan. But today, here, now, we're going to break that cycle. This video isn't about cheap psychology. It's not about ready-made self-help phrases. It's about invisible warfare, about power, about what Machiavelli would whisper in your ear if you were about to be deceived by someone smiling while thinking about how to control you. We're entering dark and yet liberating territory. You'll learn to see what people hide in their gestures, their pauses, the guilt they try to plant within you, the praise that weakens you, the doubt that paralyzes you. You'll learn to identify manipulators before they lay a finger on your life. And most importantly, you'll learn to become psychologically untamable, someone who cannot be bent, seduced, or molded. But like all Machiavellian teachings, it all begins with three stories. Three seemingly ordinary encounters, three moments that appeared innocent, but they concealed the oldest and most dangerous techniques of human manipulation. Stories that carry a dark truth. No one becomes prey because they are weak, but because they don't realize the predator has already entered the room. The first story is about Lucas, the friend who collected secrets. He was charismatic, present, and fun, but he was also overly curious. He always wanted to know what your fear, your pain, your deepest shame was. He didn't want to help. He wanted to catalog. Every weakness someone revealed became psychological ammunition. When Pedro, his best friend, tried to distance himself, Lucas responded with the classic manipulator's phrase, "After everything I've done for you?" But Pedro realized Lucas never did anything for him. He only used his vulnerability as a leash. This is the manipulator who collects weaknesses before collecting obedience. The second story is about Marina, who distorted Tiago's reality. She said he was dramatic, that he remembered things wrong, that he exaggerated, that he made things up. Little by little, Tiago began to doubt his own memories, his own emotions, his own sanity. One day, when he questioned something obvious, she replied, "You keep confusing things. Maybe you need help." And with that, his mind was hijacked. This is the manipulator who doesn't control situations. He controls perceptions. He doesn't want to win the argument. He wants to conquer your internal reality. The third story is about Fabio, the boss who offered venomous praise. He would say, "You're talented, but impulsive," or "You're exceptional, but you don't understand the game." Each compliment was a rope. Each but was a knot. Enrique, his employee, began working overtime, asking for approval for everything, fearing even small mistakes. Fabio had achieved what he wanted, emotional dependence. This is the most sophisticated manipulator of all, the one who uses praise as a leash, Now that you've seen how they operate, you need to learn to see the invisible signs they carry. Because a manipulator never presents themselves as a threat. They reveal themselves in patterns, in small, calculated movements, in behaviors that go unnoticed by ordinary eyes, but never by trained eyes. The first sign is praise that leaves scars. Manipulators praise not to uplift you, but to weaken you. It's always, "You're amazing, but," or "You're special, but." Praise creates dopamine. The "but" creates dependence. When someone praises you in a way that weakens you, beware. That's not affection, it's conditioning. The second sign is an excessive interest in your vulnerability. The manipulator doesn't ask, "How was your day?" He asks, "What hurts you?" He wants your weaknesses, your fears, your pain, because that's what he will use when you try to break free. The third sign is induced guilt. The manipulator makes you feel guilty about normal things, saying no, wanting space, having an opinion, prioritizing your life. They tell you, "I didn't expect this from you." This phrase is a trap, an emotional noose. The fourth sign is planned instability. He treats you well and then disappears. He shows you affection and then cools off. He gets close and then pushes you away. This creates dependency. The human brain gets addicted to the unpredictable, and the manipulator knows this. The fifth sign is the silent test of boundaries. He arrives late, makes offensive jokes, invades your emotional space, criticizes lightly. If you don't react, he advances. If you hesitate, he dominates. If you yield, he molds you. Manipulators are generals. They test the terrain before conquering the territory. Now that you've recognized the signs, you're ready for the next step, learning the mental weapons that make a human being impossible to manipulate. Tools that Machiavelli would only give to those he considered worthy of surviving the game of power. Now that you recognize the invisible signs, it's time to get into the part that separates victims from strategists. The mental defense tool, the silent tactics that make a manipulator realize that you are not easy territory, that you are not a distracted prey, that you are someone who thinks, and those who think do not bend. Machiavelli said that a prince's best defense is not his army, but his intelligence. And that's exactly what you're going to learn now, how to become psychologically unassailable. The first tool is calculated neutrality. Manipulators thrive on your reaction. They feed on your emotional chaos. When you respond quickly, hurt, confused, anxious, you become an open book. But when you respond slowly, coldly, thoughtfully, the dynamic changes. A manipulator doesn't know what to do with someone who doesn't react. They don't know how to control an emotional wall. They don't know how to penetrate a mind that thinks before it feels. They try to provoke you. You observe. They try to blame you. You analyze. They try to pressure you. You remain silent. Neutrality is not weakness, it's resistance. The second tool is the silent boundary. Manipulators hate clear boundaries because boundaries take away their operating ground. Saying, "No, that doesn't work for me. I don't agree. I'm not going to discuss it now," destroys their emotional architecture. But the key is to say it without anger, without excessive justification, without excuses. Boundaries are like walls, solid, simple, non-negotiable. When you maintain a boundary without over-explaining, the manipulator realizes they no longer control the psychological terrain. They try to push, you maintain it. They try to distort it, you repeat it. They try to reverse it, you end it. A firm boundary changes the whole game. The third tool is strategic feedback. Manipulators throw phrases at you to confuse you, blame you, or destabilize you. The response is simple. Give it back. When they say, "You're exaggerating," respond, "Why do you think that?" When they say, "I didn't expect that from you," respond, "What exactly did you expect?" When they say, "You're wrong," respond, "Based on what?" Manipulators don't handle questions well. Questions disarm. Questions expose. Questions take away their control of the narrative. Questions reveal hidden intentions. The fourth tool is emotional withdrawal. You can continue the same conversation, the same room, the same relationship, but internally you disconnect. You stop justifying. You stop trying to prove. You stop trying to convince. From the moment your emotions stop reacting to their tactics, they lose. Because manipulators can only move you if they can move your emotions. When you observe as if you were watching a game and not experiencing an attack, you become impossible to manipulate. And the fifth tool is clarity of self-worth. A manipulator only dominates those who believe they need their approval. When you understand your own worth, not as arrogance, but as conviction, you create a natural shield. You begin to see suspicious compliments as attempts. You perceive emotional games as techniques. You see attacks as signs of weakness, not strength. A manipulator cannot manipulate someone who believes in themselves because their mind is no longer fertile ground for guilt, doubt, or dependence. These 5 tools do one simple yet powerful thing. They make you unpredictable. And a manipulator can never control someone unpredictable because you cease to be prey and become dangerous territory. Territory where he doesn't know where to step, where he doesn't know what works, where he doesn't know how to enter. This is where the dynamic changes. This is where the predator realizes it has targeted the wrong person. Now that you know the tools of defense, we need to go further. Defending yourself is necessary, but it's not enough. Because manipulators don't back down when they encounter barriers. They simply change strategy. They test again. They reassess. They look for loopholes. This is where you need to master a different kind of power, the silent counterattack. Machiavelli said that an adversary who does not fear suffering consequences will never respect your limits. And in the psychology of manipulation, this is an absolute truth. To stop a manipulator, you need to show, not with words but with posture, that any attempt to dominate you will have immediate effects. Not violent, not aggressive, but psychological. Elegant, cold, strategic. The first way to fight back is to raise your emotional level. Manipulators thrive when the environment is tainted by doubt, anxiety, or guilt. They want you to react. They want to make you feel small. They want to create confusion. When you maintain a superior emotional posture, calm, solid, clear, you create a chasm between you and them. They try to provoke you. You remain impassive. They try to make you over-explain. You only answer what is necessary. They try to pressure you. You slow down. The manipulator realizes they are not dealing with the average person. They are dealing with someone emotionally evolved, someone who cannot be dragged into chaos. The second form of counterattack is calculated ambiguity. Manipulators rely on a psychological map. They need to know what bothers you, what fascinates you, what motivates you. When you become less predictable, less emotionally accessible, when your thoughts become protected, the manipulator loses control of the equation. They try to predict your reaction, but you surprise them. They try to exploit an old weakness, but it no longer affects you. They try to make you seem unstable, but you respond coldly and precisely. Ambiguity confuses manipulators because they cannot use what they don't understand. The third form of silent counterattack is the subtle shift in territory. Manipulators function well when conversations take place in the environment they dominate. Guilt, emotional confusion, narrative, distortion. But when you take the conversation to a more rational mental terrain, questions, facts, logic, deadlines, limits, the manipulator loses strength. They rely on emotion, not clarity. When you take the conversation out of the emotional realm and put it in the logical one, they feel the ground disappear beneath them. They try to pull you back into guilt. You respond objectively. They try to instill insecurity. You return with a question. The manipulator loses the advantage because now they are playing on your field, not theirs. The fourth form of counterattack is strategic silence, perhaps the most powerful weapon of all. When a manipulator launches a provocation, they expect an immediate reaction. They want to see you break down, explain, justify, chase after them. But when you respond with silence, they crumble inside. Because silence shows power, it shows control. It shows that you are not desperate for approval. Silence breaks manipulators because it reveals their fragility. They cannot bear not being validated. And the fifth form of counterattack is selective withdrawal. It's not running away. It's not avoiding conflict. It's simply refusing to play their game. When you don't get emotionally involved, don't justify yourself, don't fall into their traps. The manipulator realizes they've lost psychological ground. This hurts more than any confrontation, because the worst punishment for a manipulator is realizing they don't have access to your inner world. These 5 forms of silent counterattack work because they shift the hierarchy. You cease to be the target. You stop being someone who reacts. You become someone who observes, calculates, and acts with precision. The manipulator realizes you are not ordinary, and this deeply destabilizes them. From here, we enter even deeper territory, the construction of a psychological presence that intimidates manipulators before they even attempt to act. The aura that Machiavelli said was the true shield of the strong. There are people who, even in silence, make manipulators back down. People who don't need to threaten, raise their voices, or over-explain themselves. They simply have to enter the room. They simply have to look. They simply have to exist. This kind of presence, this psychological aura, functions like an invisible force field. And paradoxically, it's not built with brute force. It's built with self-control. Machiavelli said that the strong are not feared for what they do, but for what they can do. And that's exactly how an unbreakable aura works. It creates the feeling that you see more than you show, know more than you say, and feel less than others expect. This scares manipulators because they can't find emotional openings to attack. The first foundation of this aura is a neutral expression. Manipulators feed on your expression: sadness, anger, irritation, anxiety. When you maintain a controlled expression, not too cold, not too excited, just calm, you become disconcerting. Because the manipulator cannot decipher what you are thinking, and what cannot be read cannot be manipulated. The second foundation is deliberate posture. Reactive people speak quickly, breathe shallowly, and gesture excessively. Strategic people move slowly, they observe, they choose their words like they choose weapons. When you begin to move with intention, long pauses, economical gestures, a firm voice, your presence changes completely. Manipulators perceive this instantly because they intuitively understand that they are facing someone who doesn't react impulsively, but with calculation. The third foundation is emotional unpredictability. Manipulators work with a script. They study the person, test them, observe them, understand what triggers guilt, insecurity, or doubt. But when you become unpredictable, when you don't react as expected, when you break patterns, when you remain solid where others would crumble, they go on high alert. Because now, emotionally, you've become in terrain they can't map. And every manipulator fears the unknown. The fourth foundation is silent constancy. It's about maintaining your boundaries, your values, and your stable behavior without being swayed by manipulation. When you demonstrate that nothing, absolutely nothing, throws you off balance, your presence becomes intimidating. Manipulators hate constancy because they can't break it. The more predictable you are to yourself, the more unpredictable you become to them. And the fifth foundation, perhaps the most powerful, is the absence of need. Manipulators only have power when they perceive that you need something: approval, affection, attention, validation. When you demonstrate through your posture and behavior that you don't need anything from them, not affection, not understanding, not their presence, their power evaporates. Emotional dependence is the fuel of manipulation. When you are not dependent, you become unreachable. This aura building doesn't happen overnight. It's born when you stop trying to convince, impress, or please. When you start seeing everything, absolutely everything, as a psychological game that you master before the other person even realizes it. And when you cultivate that aura, Manipulators sense it, they perceive it, they back away, because they know that any attempt at control would be disastrous for them. They know you're not an easy target. They know that if they try anything, they will be exposed, disarmed, and defeated. From this point, we reach an even deeper level, how to dismantle manipulation in real time, the exact second it happens, using Machiavellian principles applied directly in practice. Up to this point, you've learned how to defend yourself, counterattack, and build presence. But there's a level beyond that, dismantling the manipulation. While it happens, this happens at the exact moment the manipulator tries to act. This isn't open confrontation. This is psychological surgery. It's disarming the intention before it even gets to your mind. Machiavelli said that men begin by plotting and end by making mistakes. And the truth is this: every manipulator makes small mistakes, small movements, small emotional leaks. And when you recognize these weaknesses, you break their strategy without raising your voice. The first way to dismantle a manipulator in real time is to name the unemotional behavior. When they try to blame you for something that isn't your fault, you say, "That seems like an attempt to hold me responsible for something I didn't do." When they try to distort reality, you say, "That wasn't my perception of what happened." When they try to reverse the situation, you say, "Interesting how this narrative favors you." You don't accuse, you don't yell, you describe. Description kills manipulation because it exposes the trick. Manipulators hate being observed. The second way is to break the emotional chain. Every manipulator creates a sequence. They provoke, you react, they dominate. When you break this chain, when you don't react, don't explain, don't justify yourself, the manipulator loses their script. They plan the emotional impact, not the absence of it. When you respond with neutrality, you destroy the emotional architecture they prepared. The third way is to ask for specifics. Nothing dismantles manipulation as quickly as details. When he says, "You always do this," respond, "When exactly?" When he says, "Everyone thinks that," respond, "Who exactly?" When he says, "You are the problem," respond, "Based on what fact?" Manipulators hate precision because precision eliminates narratives. Specificity requires proof, and manipulators don't have proof. They have emotion, and emotion doesn't hold up against details. The fourth way is to reverse the direction of control. When the manipulator tries to steer the conversation toward their zone of dominance, guilt, emotional chaos, confusion, you change the pace. You ask questions. You pause. You fall silent. You observe. This takes away their control. They try to pull you into the labyrinth, but you turn the mirror around. They try to manipulate you, but you make them explain themselves. From the moment they start explaining, they are losing. The fifth form is the breaking of the reward. Manipulators expect your reaction to be predictable: insecurity, guilt, despair, anger. When you offer the opposite, when you smile, when you say thank you, when you change the subject, when you demonstrate total emotional irrelevance, the manipulation implodes, because all manipulation is connected to an internal goal. When you don't feed that goal, it dies. The sixth way is to expose the contradiction. Manipulators thrive on inconsistencies. They say one thing, do another. They want something but claim the opposite. When you calmly expose these contradictions, that contradicts what you said before. They become internally desperate, because manipulators need to appear consistent to maintain control. When you reveal that you've noticed the inconsistency, they lose psychological ground. And the seventh form is the sudden withdrawal. Sometimes the best response is to interrupt the interaction at the exact moment the manipulator tried to hurt you. Whether it's changing rooms, hanging up the phone, ending the conversation, or simply saying, "I'll talk about this later." Withdrawal is powerful because it shows that you control the timing, you control the pace, you control the ending. And whoever controls the ending controls the game. Dismantling manipulation in real time is an art, a silent art, a strategic art, an art that transforms you not just into someone who defends themselves, but into someone no one dares to manipulate twice. We are now very close to the peak. The moment when you will learn strategies for identifying manipulators even before they speak, based solely on initial behavior, on invisible patterns. There are people who don't need to manipulate you to reveal who they are. Just observe how they move, how they talk, how they look, how they relate to the world. Manipulators leave traces long before they start playing. They think they're hidden, but to those who see beyond the surface, they are obvious. Machiavelli said that intelligence can be recognized from a distance, but he also knew that the same is true for intentions. Bad intentions give off signals, even when masked as goodness. And if you know how to see those signals, you will never again be an easy target. The first way to identify a manipulator before they act is to observe their relationship with boundaries. Manipulators cannot tolerate limits, neither their own nor those of others. They test small intrusions from the beginning. An intimate question too soon, an unnecessary touch, an invasive comment, a request that goes beyond what is reasonable. It's always something small, something that seems harmless, but it's a test, not to find out who you are, but to see how far they can go. Those who break boundaries early try to dominate later. The second way is to observe how they react when you don't give them immediate attention. Healthy people understand that everyone has their own pace. Manipulators don't. They need control. When you take too long to respond, they get irritated. When you don't participate, they provoke. When you don't validate them, they attack. Emotional haste is the first sign of future control. Those who get irritated because you don't react want to have control over your response. The third way is to notice how they talk about others. A manipulator rarely praises someone when that person is absent. On the contrary, they criticize, belittle, mock, ridicule, especially people close to them. They speak ill of the friend they just hugged. They speak ill of their ex-relative colleague. This is a silent warning. A manipulator will use you as long as you are useful, and will talk about you when you are not looking. Those who destroy reputations in the shadows manipulate relationships in the light. The fourth way is to observe the glint in their eyes when you reveal something vulnerable. This is subtle but clear. Good people show empathy when you share their pain. Manipulators show interest, a strange, deep, cold interest, as if they were mentally noting every detail. The manipulator doesn't react with compassion, they react with collection. They don't welcome, they archive, and what they archive, they use. The fifth way is to notice how they pile up praise and criticism. Manipulators always use duality. They praise to erode your confidence. They criticize to break down your autonomy. It's a continuous cycle. You're amazing, but not enough. You're unique, but you need me. You're strong, but you're unstable. This pattern is their signature. A manipulator never lets you feel completely confident. They give you crumbs of affection and doses of insecurity, enough to make you want more, enough to make you doubt yourself. The sixth way is to pay attention to how they look at you. Manipulators don't look like ordinary people. They measure, they evaluate, they calculate. It's not admiration, it's not interest, it's not attraction, it's study. They analyze your posture, your words, your reactions. They are trying to map you out, because every manipulator acts like a silent predator, observing before attacking. And the seventh form, the most invisible and the most dangerous, is excessive rapid connection. The manipulator tries to enter your life at an abnormal speed. In 2 days, they seem like your confidant. In a week, they seem like your soulmate. In a short time, they want to know everything, participate in everything, surround you emotionally. They accelerate intimacy because they know that when the connection is too fast, perception slows down. What comes too quickly has a hidden agenda. When you master these 7 signs, you spot manipulators before they even get close. And that's the real power. Not just defending yourself, but avoiding the trap altogether. We are now entering the final phase of the psychological ascent, the complete transformation, where you learn how to turn the tables and make the manipulator realize they chose the wrong person and that now you are the psychological predator. There's a point in psychological evolution where you stop being just someone who defends themselves and become someone who inspires caution. The manipulator, who previously studied you as prey, begins to see you as a threat. They become careful, hesitant, more silent, because now they perceive something they hadn't seen before. You are not manipulable. You are not vulnerable. You are not emotionally accessible. You are someone who sees, understands, and reacts with surgical precision. Machiavelli said that those who inspire fear need not raise their hand. It is enough for them to exist. And that is exactly what you will learn now. The art of turning the tables with elegance, without shouting, without confrontation, without drama. The first way to turn the tables is to make it clear, through your behavior, that you are not emotionally dependent on anyone. Dependence is the fuel of manipulation. When they realize you don't need approval, affection, or validation, the manipulator loses their most powerful weapon. They try to affect you. You don't change. They try to pressure you. You don't give in. They try to blame you. You remain unmoved. This unsettles the manipulator because they realize they can't sway you. The second way is to control the rhythm. Manipulators try to speed up or slow down situations to their advantage. When you control the timing, responding when you want, ending the conversation when you decide, choosing the moment to act, you take away their main strategy, control of the emotional flow. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the territory, and manipulators hate losing mental territory. The third form is cold reading. You look, observe, analyze, but don't react emotionally. This strategic coldness dismantles the manipulator because they can't sense where to hit you. They look for your weaknesses and find none. They try to provoke you and get no response. They try to destabilize you and encounter a wall. This inability to read you turns you into an enigma, and manipulators are afraid of enigmas. The fourth form is moral unpredictability. Manipulators expect you to be excessively good, understanding, predictable, generous, because people like that are easier to exploit. But when you break that pattern and start acting in a more calculated, unexpected, selective way, the manipulator gets confused. He no longer knows which button to press. He no longer knows what reaction to expect. And what he cannot predict, he cannot control. The fifth form is conscious mirroring, not to imitate behaviors, but to reveal intentions. When the manipulator uses sarcasm, you respond with neutrality. When they try to create guilt, you respond with logic. When they try to intimidate you, you respond with silence. You don't react as a victim. You respond as an equal or superior. Mirroring shows the manipulator that you understand their game and that you're not afraid to play back. The sixth way is to expose the consequence, not aggressively but subtly. I don't tolerate this kind of behavior. When I feel manipulated, I walk away. If this continues, I'll go my own way. These phrases are declarative, mature, simple, and devastating because they show that you are willing to lose the manipulator before losing yourself, and that destroys the emotional control they try to exert. And the seventh form is the final absence, the cut. There's no drama, there's no announcement, there's no speech. A manipulator expects scenes, discussions, accusations. He expects to be the center of attention until the very last second. But when you simply withdraw, when you leave his life with absolute tranquility, he feels the deepest defeat, indifference. Indifference is the final blow. It's the death of control. It's the end of manipulation. When you reach this point, the manipulator understands that he has completely lost. He realizes that he chose the wrong person to try to dominate, because now for him, you are not prey. You are a threat. You are a risk. You are someone he should have feared from the beginning. And this is where we set the stage for the climax. The dark and inspiring conclusion, the final vision that makes you not only free from manipulators, but someone no manipulator dares to touch. Now that you've seen everything, the stories, the invisible signs, the defenses, the reversal of the game, there's something you've already realized, even if you haven't admitted it yet. You're not the same person anymore. Before, maybe you didn't understand why certain people emotionally drained you. Maybe you thought it was your fault, that you were weak, sensitive, vulnerable, but that's over. Because now you see the whole picture. Now you see hidden intentions. Now you detect manipulation before it even touches your skin. Machiavelli said that the man who foresees danger is always one step ahead. And that's exactly where you are now, one step ahead of any manipulator who tries to enter your life. They thrive in the shadows, on emotional games, on distorted reality. But you are now a light unto yourself, a cold, calculated, conscious light, a light that exposes, that reveals, that disarms. Manipulation loses its power in the face of someone who can see, and you see clearly. And here's the most important part. You don't need to manipulate back. You don't need to attack. You don't need to stoop to their level. Your power lies elsewhere. Your power is in not being manipulable. It's about being above them. It's about seeing things first. It's about choosing. Those who choose are never controlled. From today onwards, no one will plant guilt in you. No one uses poisoned praise. No one can make you doubt your own mind. No one controls your narrative, because you are self-mastering, and he who masters himself masters everything. You are no longer a prisoner. You are no longer vulnerable territory. You are someone who observes, analyzes, decides, and that changes absolutely everything. And if you've made it this far, there's one last thing you need to hear. This video was not for entertainment. It was an awakening, and awakenings require continuity, growth, expansion, mental weapons becoming increasingly sharp. Therefore, before you leave, do something that will define the rest of your evolution. If what you've learned here has opened your mind, know that this is just the beginning. Sign up now, not to help the channel, but so that I never again walk blindly into a psychological trap.